Fun. Hello, hello, everyone, and welcome to today's show. Now, on today's episode, we are here with our cutthroat but straightforward co-host today. Ladies, please introduce yourselves.
Hey y'all, it's Tawana. Thank y'all for joining us on this Super Sunday. I know this is outside of our normal day, but Coach Sean doesn't ever give us, a heads up. We just get a notification to hop on the call. So
I
we
know I'm
appreciate y'all jumping on with us.
I actually get the heads up after the notification comes, by the way.
sorry.
Hi, everyone. I'm Deborah. Glad to be here with you guys. Thank you for joining the show this evening. We're going to make it a good one.
Welcome everyone. This is Nicole. Thanks for joining in. We're gonna have a good show. Thanks for joining.
We're jumping right in today. We want to talk about the economic impact on relationships where in the past, just want to be brief with this. In the past, women, we hear about grandma and grandma sticking around and grandma doing this. And we knew that back then, when we thought about it and put it in perspective, I think it's safe to say that a lot of grandmothers stuck around because they couldn't go anywhere. A lot of grandmas didn't own cars. They didn't have driver's licenses. They didn't have a means of surviving on their own. And I think that increased their tolerance level. So we want to hear from what I like to describe as the new model women. And with your independence, ladies, how does it affect your patience, tolerance, and all around how you deal with dating in today's end time? Being a woman who has her own. Who wants to go first?
So it was so crazy because I just came from Florida this weekend and I was down there with my 78-year-old uncle who is extremely opinionated and extremely like we go to the depths of the ocean, you know what I'm saying, when we are talking. And we were talking about this same exact thing. And we agreed that because of how the shift in our society, especially black people in our culture in terms of family, that shift of men being missing, women having to step up and step into this more masculine role, what has happened is men who are still interested in being real masculine, cookie cut men, right, that protect and provide.
Take your provider. Yeah.
It is harder for women to land them,
You
to
want
help
me
to make them settle because of
wife?
because they're not allowed to be that because these women can't really, they look at it as you don't tell me what to do and I don't need you and da 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 da. But on the flip side of it, it also makes it harder for that type of man, a provider, a protector, to land and tie down a woman who feels like I got all of my stuff. I don't need you. I want you. And that's what we came to the conclusion that we are living in a society right now where if you are trying to be with someone that you need or they need you, it's probably not going to work. Because if you have your own, he has his own, y'all got to be there because y'all want to be, because y'all don't need each other for nothing. And so I think that's the shift that has taken place. You have to be in relationship in 2025 because you want to be. Because if one person is needy, the balance is now off. If I'm a woman who has all of my own and I feel like I have to take care of you, there's going to be that lack of respect. There's going to be that masculine energy that you're probably not going to like, right? And then on the flip side, if it's a woman who the man feels like the woman needs him, there's same thing going to be this lack of sometimes respect. Oh, her opinion may not matter as much because I take care of everything. You know what I'm saying? So, but when you don't need each other and you want each other, it eliminates.
Mm. I like that insight and perspective. I agree with a lot of what you're saying. And it made me think about something. The people that find themselves in a situation because they need the other person, what happens if they land a better job, get a degree, get a promotion, and they no longer need that person financially?
Well, then you're where I said it's going to be a problem because
Now
now
that
now
relationship
the
is about to break.
dynamic has shifted. There's a shift. Like, I don't have any desire to be, I don't, well, it wouldn't happen because I don't need anything, right? Like I don't. And that's the reality of where I am right now. And that's not on, oh, not saying I don't need a man. I'm saying I don't need anything, right? In terms of if I don't need a man to make sure my mortgage is paid. I don't need a man to make sure my car note and my car insurance or if I have food in my house, right? And a lot of people don't understand the difference between want and need in the first place. You know what I'm saying? They interchange those words so frequently that it becomes an issue, right? Because
Hmm.
if you don't, you shouldn't need. You should want. You should need. Because if you need coincides with codependency, interdependency, and all of these things can become real dangerous if you're not careful.
Mm. Nicole, Deborah?
Um, I agree with Tavana. Myself personally, we just had this conversation this morning. Yeah, I'm not needy for anything at this point. I want somebody, but on my terms, because I feel like I have that choice. But as far as getting, I think a responsible woman who takes care of their own, guys who want to be men,
Hmm.
they avoid women who got their own. That's how I personally feel. I feel like men today, like men, they need a sense of control. And I think a woman who can pay her mortgage, car note, whatever, everything, pick up and go when she get ready. Not to say that it's something that we can work through, but a lot of times they're not even trying to make the approach to even get that far because, I mean, she don't need me for anything, but again, it's not a need, it's a want. And then also, and two people having their stuff together, you can also grow. But for some reason, it never gets there.
Mm.
And to your question, when a person has a change in finance, when they have put up with something for so long, or they felt like they put up with something for so long because say they didn't have the job or the finance they want, I see a lot of separation that leads to divorce because, hey, I got my own now. I don't have to put up with you.
Mm. Here's the thing: so they're wearing a mask. They kind of did certain things while they were in need, but once they no longer find themselves in that situation, then
They bail out.
that's unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say, ladies, from a male's perspective, I'm only one man. I can't speak for everyone, but I am the definition of like Tavana described, a cookie cutter, typical, provider, protector, man's man. You know, old school, grew up with my grandfather, my dad, and I will say that I think I may have more confidence in myself, beyond the income and beyond the money. And I felt like I could still be the man of my house. I can still be because I'm sacrificial. And when I was a classroom teacher, and Haley has always been an executive since, I met her. She was a marketing manager for EasyGo. And I think even then she probably made about 30,000 more than I did. But I was still allowed to play what I consider my role. And I know, ladies,
But that's something different, right? So because that's something different sort of than what we're talking about because we're talking about correct me if I'm wrong. What we're talking
Mhm.
about is that when there's that almost like that power struggle, right? Because of the quote unquote need. You have a woman
Right.
who needs a man So the man has the upper hand, so to speak, or you have a man who needs a woman. So now she has the upper hand. But if you have two people that, and it sounds like this is kind of what I was saying, you and your wife made a choice that y'all want each other. So it's not really a need on either side. She was doing well, you were doing well. Y'all came together because y'all wanted to be together, and then you set the roles and the whatever, you know what I'm saying, how y'all would run y'all
Well,
household. You see what
I
I'm saying?
agree. I agree.
Right.
Now, one thing
So
I
that's a to me that's a little different because you know what I'm saying, y'all really weren't in
wanted.
need of each other. Y'all wanted that.
Now, what I will say is, I think that being in that situation pushed me, pushed me even harder to, increase my earning potential. I'm like, well, you know what? If I'm working in education, she's in corporate America, I had to go back to school. I went and, got a master's degree. And then I'm like, I got to go back again to get my doctorate degree. And then I got into administration, and then I like a desire to make more. And I spoke with one of my cousins, and he and his wife were engineers, but he was I forgot what branch, but he worked with DOT. She was an industrial engineer. She worked in manufacturing. She made more money, but he had the desire to make and do more. So he stayed in the military, although he was an engineer, and continued and made it to the general rank. He's a 1-star general. And we joke about it, because coming from our family, we just felt like the man should earn more. And that pushed him. And I thought about how it pushed me. And I'm wondering, do you all see where your earning potential are being as established as you ladies are? You all have your own house, you got multiple vehicles, live your life on your terms. Do you think that will push men to want more to be with you? Or do you think that you all have kind of intimidated some guys?
I think it's intimidation.
Hmm. Javonna, what do you think? Or have you thought about that?
Well, my thing is when the want is in place, the drive and the push is going to come on both ends because we want to be. I'm great like right now, right? However, my partner is going to push my greatness even further, right? Because they're going to continue to want me to be great and continue to want me to do bigger and better because it's going to benefit the unit. See what I'm saying? So, and same thing on their end. If they're doing XYZ, that's great. How can we elevate your XYZ? We elevate your XYZ. You see what I'm saying? And so that to me is what's important. You have to be, it has the, if it's to benefit the unit. It's not even, it doesn't become me, right? It's okay. I might have this skill set that can help you in your career or business. So let me tap in and help you do that. Or I may see things this from this perspective that you didn't see it from. We sit down, we have a conversation, and now I can take my business to another level. You see what I'm saying? And that's what it should be. So if it's anything less than,
Uh-huh.
you probably need to go away. Like you probably that's not your person. Like you don't need to be in that because
Quick
it's just going
question.
to be contentious.
How important is a male's income in a relationship? How important is his income to you?
It's not important to me like that. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, you're not moving in here, so it don't really matter. So my expectation is you have your own, I have my own, and if this is what we want to do, we're gonna go get ours, right? And then yours and mine are gonna be residual income. You see what I'm saying? So that ain't a thing for me because at the end of the day, you ain't got to make a whole. I don't care about that. That ain't gonna stop what I got going on. However, if you don't have your own and you talking about a we, well, we got to be we. Cause if you making we me, that ain't we. You see what I'm saying? Right? Because if you can't move in here, so we need to go buy a house. Okay, well, what are we bringing to the down payment? You see what I'm saying? Because if not, then ain't we? Just me getting another house.
Mm.
So you see what I'm saying? And so these are the things that, in my opinion, have to be considered. What do you want? So it's not like the thing on the top of my list. However, if I know that I want to live this certain lifestyle or have this level of this, or I want to travel, or I want to do this, and I want to do this, I am very cognizant of what that costs, right? And I'm very cognizant that I'm not about to carry you and pay for everything. So if you can't contribute to that, you're just probably not my person.
Mm. So, it, I
I'm
don't
gonna add something to that.
go ahead.
With the guy making the lesser money, I've been there pretty much as far as income. Always had the higher income when I thought it was we. So what I did, you push, you encourage, you support in whatever way. I paid some child support, some other things. And one year I just decided, I said, let me go as a birthday gift. And I paid for schooling. Always wanted to be a driver. So I paid for schooling, told him for the next 2-3 months, I'm pretty much good. I'll handle everything so that you can get this schooling
Mm.
so you can do what you want, what your passion is, which you don't, I guess you don't have the income to do it, or you're just not willing to make the sacrifice. Well, the sacrifice was made. And after I applied for jobs, got a higher paying jobs, well, we turned into me. And from there, it turned into separation, and then it turned into divorce. So
Mm. Did that
again,
put a allegedly, because he's not here to speak for
right.
himself.
Hmm.
So, would you ever do that again?
I would if it's the right person.
Okay, okay,
And
okay.
yeah.
And I think that's a part of the growing together that I
Hmm.
understand. However, for me, I probably wouldn't have did all that. Like, I mean, only and no, right, and because and only because now that's see, and I'm big on, and I'm not saying I wouldn't, I said probably, but I'm
Right.
big on plans, right? Like now, if you sit me down
Mm-hmm.
and you give me a 3 year like a plan, right? That's broken down a month, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 18 months, 3 years. We can talk about anything you want. Okay? Because I see the vision, you're making it plain, and we can work with that. But just, I want to do this and we're going to see how it works. No, buddy. That ain't going to work for me. Like we got to have, you know what I'm saying? It's got to be already laid out for me to be able to jump on the train. You see what I'm saying? So
And I think
I would
Nicole's
be able to.
situation, it was laid out. He Look, this is what I've always wanted to do. Have not been able to. Like, it's a situation where, okay, I have expenses. I have kids. I'm a worker. I've always worked, but I've never had the opportunity to say, hey, I need to take 6 months off from work and get a CDL, right? It's hard for a lot of people to do that. Nowadays, they offer, weekend trainings and things like that as a part of the bus driver shortages. There are a lot of other avenues now to get CDL. So she was like, well, look, I'm going to save. I can get some overtime. I'm
No,
going to,
no, no overtime. I took my
okay.
income tax
Oh,
money
wow.
because I thought it was for the family. 2011, I took my whole income tax, and this is your birthday gift
Oh, wow.
for the better of the family.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it was
See, and I don't,
for me,
and
but
stuff
then
like that is,
my little stash. Could
stuff
have
like
went.
Right.
that is hard though. Stuff
It
like
is.
that is hard
It is.
because and this is what I just absolutely hate. Not to say that this is the case because you, like you said, not here, don't know the other
Mm-hmm,
side,
mm-hmm.
but, and it might not even have been an intentional like thing, but it's almost like when I've helped you do X, Y, Z, and you get to your
Right.
point, and then now it's just like, oh, I'm good, and that's it.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
like,
the money
you know what I'm
changed.
saying?
The
Right,
money changed. Yeah.
that's not okay. And so that I would definitely have a problem with, because again, that's not what we signed up and agreed to. You know what I'm saying? To do it that way, then that makes it unfair. And you would never know that until
You go through
it's
it.
done and you go
Mhm.
through it and it's the end of it. So that part I can definitely relate to. Just, having it be one thing and then it be something else. You know what I'm saying? So I get that. And I think that's just unfortunate. And that goes back to what we always talk about on this show, is that communication, that
Right.
honesty. Because I do think, honestly, some people take your kindness and your everything for granted, because they know, like me, like my kids think I'm their personal Olivia Pope. Like my whole family thinks I'm their personal
Hey, you're problem
Olivia
solver.
Pope.
Mm-hmm.
Right. If something goes wrong, call mommy, call Savannah. She's going to find the solution. She's going to fix it. Right. She is the fixer. And most of the time, they're absolutely right. I am. Right. But if I'm doing all of that all the time, but then I need you to do X, Y, Z. It's, oh, I can't, you see what I'm saying? And that's not there. When that give and take is not there in the relationship, then that's the problem. And sometimes I heard somebody, I think it was Jamal Bryant, said, if you are a giver, never fall in love with a taker.
Mm.
Ooh wee.
Wow. That's profound. Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
like Shannon Sharp say,
I like that.
givers have
Never
limits,
fall,
takers don't.
never fall.
Wow. Don't fall in love with a taker. I've seen that happen because beggars never stop begging. Takers never stop. There's no limit.
Takers don't have limits. Givers do.
Even as friends, Damon and I, we've talked about this for close to 20 years, and it's funny to me because Damon's grown now, but there's a 6 year age gap. So growing up, playing ball in Manor, I knew Damon since he was in elementary school. But when he became an adult, he matured fast, right? And we often talked about, adult friends who will take nonstop, like there's no limit. And you have to, if you don't want to change who you are as a person, you just have to distance yourself from around certain people. So you're not, in a situation where you're being used or taken advantage of, And I hate to change who I am as a person. That's why, Nicole, I ask, if you were in that situation, would you ever do it again? And I'm a believer that I try to help people because I'll never ever know when I'm going to be the one in a position to need help, you know. And I've called on people. I've called on Damon. Hey, I need a grill. I need whatever, you know. So I feel confident and comfortable I can contact him for a need, and I'm sure he knows he can do the same with me. But I try to not, run something in the hole and take advantage of it. And that's major, Nicole. I commend you for what you did. You did your part. It's like you said, you're trying to make the family unit stronger and the unit better.
Absolutely. My dad told me after the fact, he's like, one thing about a man or a woman, if there's something that they want to do and they really want to do it, they'll find a way to make it happen.
Mm.
He says too often I've seen men's, whether it be a wife, girlfriend, or whatever, they help them to get to another level, earn another degree, and it seems like when they get themselves established, that's the last person they want to see.
Mm.
So he said, I mean, in the future, he said, daughter, yeah, it's we, but at the same time, that's him. If that's something he want and he want to do, let it be him, not we. When I do it and then you see the growth from it, then it becomes we. But until then, don't do that again. But just to say for the income, a lower income, yeah, I would deal another guy with the lower income. Would I pay for somebody education? No, I'll never do that again.
Mhm. So, listeners, thank you all. We have a lot of late listeners tuning in. We're just talking about basically the the economic impact on relationships, and you know, pros and cons, do's and don'ts, I should say, and sharing experiences of dating someone where they're making more or less money. And this is something, and especially now because the way the economy has shifted and society has shifted from when I came out of college. I want to say in the mid 90s is when women were starting to catch up as far as being the money earners in families. But, and especially, getting degrees back then, the whole .com era, a lot of technology jobs and the booming healthcare industry, a lot of jobs for women in the late 90s into the early 2000s. But now women are really out earning men. Women are high earners, especially in education. A lot of districts, a lot of the principals are women. And throughout the state, that's a six-figure job. Of course, six-figure goes, you know, further in certain areas than others. When you think about rural schools and rural districts, and you have female superintendents, female principals, superintendents are making 225 to 275. And a lot of men aren't keeping up with that. So I just wanted to know, ladies, what impact will that have on you in a relationship or even in dating? And Damon, the ladies are cold hearted today. They said, I asked them what's the limit, do these men get to spend 2 nights, 3 nights before it's time to go home? They said they got to get their hat, their coat, and leave before the sun comes up. No breakfast, out the door by 7 a.m. is the time. So the women are cold hearted, Damon. While the men have been allowing ladies to stay over, the ladies said it's time for them to go. Welcome, our listeners. Please, we want to hear what you all have to say about this in situations where you are the breadwinner, ladies, or at least the higher income earner. Deborah, I know you came in earlier. 1 second. We've been having some technical difficulties with Deborah to get some feedback and hear what she has to say.
Okay, yes. I am here. And really quickly to what you just said, Kershawn, I just, me myself, I'm also the type of person, like, even if it wasn't the whole, early morning thing, I don't want to set a tone of something that's not going to continue. Like, so, setting that boundary, like, yeah, you were here, but this is not like that type of party in this moment. You know what I'm saying? I want to make sure it's clear, like, what's happening here. So, yeah, you got to go before the sun come up or when the sun come up, whatever it is. But depending on if we in daylight saving times or not, but you know, it's going to have to happen. As far as dating someone who doesn't make as much as me, I've never really been hung up on anything to that extent. I really want you to be the leader in your own life. I want you to be able to provide for yourself and your children if you have any. I want to know that you are financially responsible with what, for what you have, what you're doing. And I want to know that you have a drive to want more because, I don't have, multiple cars and at this moment, but, I'm in a direction where if I want it, I can get it. And for me, I just need to be in that space for myself before I, try to align myself with anyone else. And I just would want to come in contact with the same type of individual who understands like being able to be whole for yourself before trying to, become one with anybody else.
So,
But issue is he
do
makes
you
more.
object to it? Or if you had a preference, what would you prefer?
Um, I mean, it doesn't. I'm like really like I'm a simple person. So even if he made more than me, I mean, cool. Just don't expect me to become a flamboyant type of person because you may be elevating my lifestyle in some way, shape, form, or fashion. I'm still who I am, but I will become the complement to what you have going on. But
What about you making more than him? We getting a little playback. I don't know. Is that you, Tank? Okay.
even if I make more than him, like I said, as long as he is the leader in his life and he has the drive and the ambition to want to do more and get more and achieve more, like together, once we come together, then I'm okay with him not making as much as me. As long as we're both in the same mindset that this is not where it stops. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like we're good when we're apart, but we're a force when we're together. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the kind of thing that I'm looking for. I want to make sure that I'm good apart from anyone, so
Tank,
that when
what do
I
you have
come
to
together,
say, Tank?
I was missing a lot. So tell me what's the main subject?
Koshan, can you mute me?
You
Because it
give
won't.
up some playback. Well, what we're talking about is the impact of women being a higher earner on relationships.
You heard me, Koshan?
Yes, I will. We're talking about
Um,
women being the higher earner.
there's nothing wrong with that, except when woman's the higher earner and she wants it to be known by everyone or to you, especially when it comes to an argument or some type of disagreement. But other than that, I haven't with it because me myself, call me a gold digger, but I ain't messing with no broke chick. You gotta have just as much as me, if not more. To be honest, because I need to know that I can depend on you if something were to happen to me and vice versa. And I know what I bring to the table, so I need you to bring not the same, but somewhat close to it, if not more.
Use the bathroom.
Do you want her to be close to your income, if not more? Okay. And what do you think? I have a list of questions for you all. And hey, unique.
What happened to my extra?
And I want to know. I have a few questions in there, man. And do you think the income will impact any like gender roles? You know what I'm saying? Do you now find yourself if she's making more money, ladies? Do you expect the guy to
Absolutely.
now do the laundry and washing dishes and stuff?
No, no, sir. No,
Okay.
sir.
Okay.
Certain things is a no, no.
What? Hold on. So your man don't have to watch this?
No.
You're in a bad area, Tank. His phone is breaking up. He's in a bad area.
Yeah, you better check her. I mean, a woman chore is a woman chore.
I don't believe
I
that.
don't want.
I don't believe in a mature man. Sure, I don't believe in that.
That's you.
Yeah, we're a little older, just a little
All
older,
I
but
want. Hey, take these trash out. Make
You
sure
say
that
so.
yard is right. Make sure I got a plumber,
So
because most guys don't want a
who
plumber
shows
coming
it
in their house.
to cook dinner?
Mine. I don't want no man mixing up in the kitchen. That's just me.
These days, our generation, I think the men are better cooks than the girls are. Like the
Well,
women
not
are.
mine. I can only speak for me.
Into the house and cut the grass or whatever. But when it comes to inside the house, that's a team operation. That's how I feel.
That's your opinion.
I have some questions in the chat that I want you all to take a look at.
I'm driving. You got to read them out.
First
See,
is, well, how might a woman's higher income impact her relationship with her partner emotionally and psychologically? Do we even think about that? And I'm trying to think of. I've been in both relationships where I was a higher earner,
hmm
and I've been in several where I wasn't the higher earner. And although I felt like the roles, I'm traditional, the roles remain the same. I think in the situations where, well, in a lot of them, I wasn't the higher earner, but they still understood who I was. They probably talked a little more trash about when they were the higher earner, not talking trash to the point where it would end a relationship, but jokingly, like, oh, your sister and your mom got you messed up. You don't even know how to turn the washing machine on. I'm like, no, but I don't expect you to have to ever change the oil either. I don't want you to have to change tires on the vehicle, things like that. And I always felt like in my opinion, it helps with when you think about unconditional love in a situation, right? Because unconditional is, hey, you might be sick today or down today, but I still love you like you were up, not loving you based on where you are, what you have. So that is what I liked about roles. And you know how I am, Nikki. I don't care if we're arguing, you're mad or whatever. I'm still going to do what I'm supposed to do.
And I feel the same way. I feel like if I mean, I'm I get the higher pay. But as a man, a man needs certain levels of respect as well. So the money shouldn't really even matter.
You're still the man of the house.
And that's only coming from me because I've been there. And it has been days, weeks sometime that, me and my significant other didn't even talk. But when I cook, if he wasn't home, his food is the first one to come out the pot and it's going to get wrapped up and it's going in the microwave. Then I'm going to feed the kids because I don't expect you until after a certain time. Whereas I need to get them get them fed and ready for school the next day. That went on for weeks, going shopping, doing his laundry. That was a given. But I came up like that in my granny's house.
Right. That's what you saw.
And my granny always say, you play your role, know your role, and handle your role.
I like that.
So, it's different, different age, different background, why people do what they do. And it's okay. But as far as me, you need your respect until you lose your own respect. My job is to feed you. My job is to keep the house clean. It's not about the money.
I like that. Thinking that, hey, and I believe in that as well. Like, I'm going to do my role. If things don't work out or you didn't do what you're supposed to do, I can walk away with without feeling bad because I know I did what I was supposed to do. And if we tie back into having different roles, how I want to know this, ladies, how might financial independence, right, influence a woman's sense of identity and like self-worth? Do you think it like gives you more confidence as a person, which is nothing wrong with that at all. Like, because you've earned it. Well, whatever you've done, whatever career field you're in and earning the things you went through something to accomplish that, right? I just want to know, how does that influence your identity and your self-worth of who you are, accomplishing what you all have accomplished?
It didn't influence me at all because I've been this way. Like I've been like before that, like since like 10, like 5th grade. Like I ain't never, you know what I mean? Then it got a little worse in middle school, a little worse in high school, a lot worse in college. So I mean, so so I guess some people would probably say I've always had an elevated sense of self. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
it didn't really. But I'm also the girl who degrees are still in the cardboard envelope that
It didn't
they
change who
mailed
you
them to
were.
me in. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter to me. I went to the girls basketball game today and me and my mom was walking in the Colonial Life Arena and some random dude was like, "Hey, Miss Neednelia." What? Like, where we do that at? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like
they know you,
weird. You know what I'm saying? Right.
but you're
And
you're a local celebrity.
no idea who this man was. You know what I'm saying? But and I think it's kind of weird. It ain't nothing that inflates my self-worth. I think that's weird. Like I know good and well I could never be famous. Like, cause I think that's weird.
But you're a business owner and people know you. People see you in
They
different
don't know me.
places all
They
over.
know. They don't
Need
know me.
near you. They know
They
Miss
know
Need near you.
business. They know the
Right.
business. They know the brand, maybe, all of that. But people get that confused to where that's the issue. They think they know you. You know what I'm saying? And me is not that. You know what I mean? So yeah, for me, it didn't do anything. It didn't inflate it or deflate it or nothing because I done just always been this way because I was raised that way. I was raised that you're Tavana and there's nobody else in the world better than you. Like that's what we had to say like on a daily basis. Like we got up in the
Oh, the
morning and that was
self-affirmation. That's great.
absolutely.
That is great.
Yeah.
I want to share
I
something right
never
quick about affirmation from a female's perspective. I was talking to a counselor at my school and she told me that growing up, she went to a small private school. She was always the smartest person, and that created her identity. And she moved to Florida and attended this huge high school. And there were like hundreds of kids who were just as smart as she was and some smarter. And she said she went into teenage depression because her identity was based on, always being the smartest. And when she was no longer the smartest, she felt worthless. As a kid, I was like, oh man, that's something to think about. And when she was telling me this is when we were discussing a picture and I shared it on social media of a cotton field. And I was like, can you identify the Gucci cotton or the polo cotton? Because it all starts the same as in a cotton field. They're all made the same and the labels placed on it. And I thought about how labels and clothing and material things impact a person's worth. For men, I don't know the impact of women. I haven't, asked a lot of women about that, but I have spoken to some men, and I have a number of friends who said they literally quit school to sell drugs because they didn't have the name brand clothing that others had. And I was like, man, it affects you to that point. So that's why I wanted to know for women, how does, this newfound wealth, women are doing big things. And if you think back to your
But I think that's culturally though. I think that's a cultural thing. I think it goes a little bit deeper than just men and women. I think
Okay,
it goes to a cultural thing where we weren't allowed to I don't know if everybody understands the story about how like black people saved the Cadillac brand.
right.
Like that, you know what I'm saying? Because the Cadillac was that no black people, they would not sell to black people. But
Mm-hmm.
when the Great Depression came
Yeah.
and they needed money, and black people had money because we weren't putting our money in banks. Black people did not really suffer from the Great Depression
Yes.
because we didn't put our money in banks because we couldn't. So when things needed to be bought and stuff like that, we were able to make purchases because we was putting our money in the chicken coop and under the bed, right?
The walls.
There you go. So black people, in order to save Cadillac, they started being able to sell to they started selling to black people. And we got this inflated sense of, oh, look, now I have the best of the best. And now we still see that in our culture, that because we were restricted of so many things, you know what I'm saying? That we think we have this weird cultural mindset that I'm less than if I go to Walmart and buy something versus Louis Vuitton. I have to show, you have to see me. I want you to see my goodness. I want you to see my, you know what I'm saying? My accomplishments but we haven't gotten to the point as a culture where we understand that it is more important to actually be wealthy than to look wealthy. Because the wealthiest people, you would never know. They could be walking right next to you on the street in some flip-flops, jeans, and a t-shirt.
All-time millionaire.
Okay? But every time we get a little piece of money, we go buy a damn Cuban link and a Jesus piece and a Gucci bag you see what I'm saying? For what? What does that? First of all, those are depreciating assets. They do absolutely nothing for your actual net worth. Like, you know what I'm saying? So why? Because that's what our culture has taught us to do. And a lot of people have yet to unlearn that. So when you talk about what your success does for you, it kind of does, I think sometimes with black people, inflate that sense of, oh, now look at me. And then, we also have that crab in a bucket. So it's not, oh, look at me and let me help you come up here with me. It's, oh, no. I got mine. You figure it out. And I'm going to stay up here so I can look down on you.
I can be the token. I can be the token in this neighborhood.
And it's a cultural thing that has to shift.
You opened my eyes. I was wondering, just from women, thinking back, a couple of generations to our grandparents. If granddad died, yeah, grandma had the house. That was grandmother's house. We go to Big Mama's house, but it was, inherited for the most part. But now, just two generations removed, seeing women as business owners, homeowners, I mean, doing it. You all are traveling, you all own properties, you are the breadwinners in your house. You're taking care of the kids. When I go to right now, state championships are going on. And you go to these games, moms are pulling up in their SUVs. Moms have been taking these kids to sporting events and paying for the travel ball and just doing it. And that is what I wanted to know. Like, how does that make you feel? Or do you at least give yourself a pat on the back that, hey,
No, I
I did
think
this?
you know what most women probably think, and I don't know if Deborah, the ladies, can agree with me, but I know for me, that ain't no damn badge of honor.
Right.
I don't like that. I don't
Me
want to be
neither.
I don't want to
Right.
be superwoman.
Me
Like I
neither,
have no
Savannah.
desire to do that. I don't want no pat on the back. I'm not patting myself
Okay.
on the back. I want somebody to take this cape off and let me be Lois Lane. I don't want it.
That's my
So
role.
the
I feel
fact
like
that
that's
I
my
have to
role.
do it, the fact that I have to do it is the issue. So there's no joy in that. There's
Okay.
no puffed upness about that because
Okay.
that's not what I think I should have to do.
Mm.
And I agree. I mean, I really agree. Like I always, like Tavana said, I came up in a household, I was only child code.
Yeah.
Come out the house, go into our convenience store. So I never lacked anything. I was never a needy child, never came from a needy family.
Right.
So, I mean, to me, it's just a norm. You fuss at me all the time. I'm be like, sometime I grow on kids. I have to do stuff for them. That little one I catch all the hell with. But, I do it and I don't even like a compliment because I'm saying to myself, who else is going to do it?
Right.
This is a norm for me. It doesn't, I don't, guess I'm just one of them types, but it never changed who I am. And I always say to myself, there's only one Nicole. I don't care what you got. The red bottoms, the Gucci. I choose not to buy them. I got flat foot. So it ain't gonna make a difference one way or the other.
Oh, it's
It don't say nothing for me. The Gucci, Lucci, whatever they wearing, it's fine. It doesn't define me. But to some people, it does. And I think it's more of a cultural, it's more deeper. Like Tavana said, it goes back to how you came up and just how we think as Black folks.
how it makes your value. I'm laughing. I looked at Liz.
And that value goes back to slavery, right? It all
Mm-hmm.
starts, everything that is inherently wrong in our culture, you can link it back to that, right? Because anytime you take a people and strip them of everything and give them what you want them to have, there's going to be an issue. And that's what has happened with Black people. So Black people are born into trauma. We are born into, you know what I'm saying? All of this systematical stuff, you know what I'm saying? That we have no control over, that we are taught, that we are, you know what I'm saying, force fed. And this is what
Mm.
happens. You see what I'm saying? So this is just it. Unless you as a person decide when you start having kids and for yourself, I'm going to not teach this. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to, but most of the time that doesn't happen. It gets passed down from generation to
A
generation to generation to
generation.
generation to
Mm-hmm.
generation. And then you wonder why this is the way that it is. I was watching the fight last night.
Mm-hmm.
And when I tell you I was on the floor laughing, and
Boy,
what is the boy named Tank?
Tank. Yeah.
I'm like, who the hell puts diamonds in veneers? Them ain't even your real teeth.
Right. You got to see his house
I mean, but do you see what I'm saying?
and the
Like
15 cars,
you went and bought teeth
and then put diamonds on those teeth.
on teeth. Come on now.
Hey.
Come on now. You see what I'm saying? And the crazy part, and again, as a culture, we were divided then, which is why we are still divided now. They divided us then to say, oh, because your skin is lighter and you look a little different and quote unquote better, we're going to put you over here and not make you do manual
Mm.
labor. So what do you think that did? That formed a resentment.
Yes, people hated this one.
House slaves and field slaves didn't like each other. They didn't look at each other
Get
as, oh,
along.
we all slaves.
Right.
No, because they saw that there was preferential treatment for
The
the
lighter
other,
one.
and we still live in that mind frame today. We still live in that mind frame today as a people. You see what I'm saying? And so you can't do much with that because there's always going to be that divide. We
And just
saw that divide come down a little bit during civil rights. You know what I'm saying? And
hmm
we kind of worked together a lot. But that was what in the 50s and
but
60s. That was
it still was that divide.
there's somewhat, yeah.
Yeah. I was we took some kids to the Dr. Benjamin Mays Museum, right? And Dr. Mays was one of the first African Americans, got his doctorate from University of Chicago, and he was a professor at Howard, he was a president at Morehouse for 30, 40 years, right? He saved Morehouse College and made them who they are today. But his story is, and he's actually related to my family. And his story was because he wasn't the most attractive guy. He wasn't viewed as the most attractive guy, that Dr. King was earmarked to be his surrogate. So Martin Luther King, as a young boy, at the age of 15 years old, clean cut. We only see a lot of black and white images, but he was this clean cut, light skinned guy, pretty hair. As a sophomore in high school, they earmarked him and brought him to Morehouse as a sophomore, let him take college classes. So when he graduated high school, he had an associate's degree. It was a crazy story because we talk so much about kids with the early college and kids graduating with associate's degrees. They did this for Dr. King back in the late 30s, mid late 30s, and brought him in. So he was able to graduate college by the age of 20 and use him to relay all of Dr. May's messages because he was the clean cut, the light skin, the pretty boy, the curly hair. And then he had Coretta, of course, and people followed them. People followed and listened because of that look and that image in the 60s, and then like the darker guys, your Black Panther members and these other folks were viewed as villains. Like they weren't the peaceful folks that would get invited to
It's
restaurants.
still like that today. We have black
Yeah.
people to this day that
Mm-hmm.
won't go to black doctors, that won't go to black dentists, that
Mm.
won't go because in their weird little mind, the white people do it better. Or the Indian people do it better.
Their ice is colder.
Correct. And it's just the strangest thing. And so, again, that's something that is a taught behavior. That is something that they learned and picked up as, you know what I'm saying? And until it stops, which I mean, I'm smart enough to know it will never, you know what I'm saying? So even when we say that, it's just like, come on now. We know it's not going to stop. Because anything that's taught is going to keep being taught. And as long as you can have people continuing to teach it from generation to generation, it's going to go on.
Mm. Well, I want to know this. And again, tying back to our original topic, I want to know the impact of this economic shift on women, hearing from you all, from ladies, and you all grew up in it, but I'm sure you can look at, your moms to compare yourself to your parents, where your mom may not have been a breadwinner or may not have been a high income earner. What are some key differences that you see in your lives and relationships and with being the breadwinner as opposed to your parents and their roles? That's what I want to hear.
Oh, well, mine totally different because my mama didn't work till I was 14. So it's definitely different from my mom. So for me to be doing what of course she's proud and she, be bragging all the time, she's so whatever, but it's different because it's just the time is different. You know what I mean? My mom had 3 kids, married to a Marine, and she didn't have to do all of that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was. She didn't have to go to work. So, and that's the agreement that they had. But I wasn't married when I had my kids. You know what I'm saying? My first 2. So there was that the expectations were different. parameters were different. You know what I mean? So I had to do what I had to do. And it's almost like once you get on that bus, you can't get off. Once you get on that, I gotta make it shake, you don't get off of that bus. Even if you get right, even if you get into a relationship, you get married, there's still a part of you that's never gonna want to go back there. So you're gonna always make sure that it gets done. Period. You may let him do it, but you darn sure checking behind him to make sure it gets done.
It gets done. Mm.
Right? Because you are aware that if I put my faith into this person and allow them to take the reins and take the lead, if they mess it up, the consequences and repercussion come back on me. So in the back of your mind, sometimes it's like, all right, yep, lead, go ahead. However, when you told me you called and made the payment, I'm calling tomorrow when I get to work just to
To
make sure.
verify.
Right.
Well, I want to know this. What are, and I think you and Nicole touched on this earlier. The question was, what are some misconceptions about common misconceptions or stereotypes about women who are the main earners in the family? What are some common misconceptions or stereotypes about women who are the main earners? And I honestly thought, like I said, that it was a badge of honor, but you both said that's not the case. Like, we don't want to do this. We don't want to be superwoman every day. And are there any other misconceptions or stereotypes?
The stereotype for me is that my family really rely on me, not just my kids, but my mom's side of the family, my dad's side of the family. It's like Nikki has all the answers. Nikki has all the solution. But when Nikki is in need, who is there?
Mm.
You know, they feel like I got it all together. I stumble and fall all the time. I just keep it to myself. Let God help me figure it out. Mom and dad is always there, but there's some things that, I really don't share with them. But that to me is like a stereotype, because it's like they don't see any failure or any low expectation. And I don't think that's fair to me.
So I get what you're saying. So you're saying one of the misconceptions or stereotypes is that because you are the breadwinner, it's like you're invincible or you never need help.
Correct.
Like, I can see what people would think that because she makes money, she never needs help. I had a friend that said that she had a pretty good job. She's always been a high income earner, especially compared to most of her family members, because she was one of the only ones that, went off to college and got a good job. And she said it bothers her during Christmas because she always buys gifts for everyone else's kids, and they have multiple children and multiple cousins.
Mm-hmm.
And she has one child and no one ever does anything for her one child.
I can relate.
And I was like, maybe because, and I thought about that, I was always a money earner. I would find a way to get some money. And when I thought about it, people like my sisters always, that's something that we did. My sisters always got gifts for all of the kids. That's what we did. But outside of that, my oldest son, I would say on his mom's side, no one ever bought anything for him. No one ever bought anything for him. And not that, they had anything against him. They just always felt like he's going to be good. His dad's going to do this. His dad's going to do that. So they felt like there was never a need to do anything for him. So I'm wondering is that what you all feel nowadays, that, you all are breadwinners. You all are homeowners. You have your careers. And are you a victim of that misconception or that stereotype that you all don't need anything? Everyone calls on you. You all are going to figure it out. And it seems like it's a gift and a curse, in my opinion.
Yep, it is.
Well, I want to, Tank, you still here with us, Tank? And
Yeah, man, on this road.
I know you're traveling. We have a lot of callers that are listening in, and I want to thank you all again for joining us. And these are just some of the things that we're discussing. We're just talking about, from a female's perspective, the impact of being, higher income earners. Even if you aren't the high income earner in your house, just, at a different time right now where women are making more money. Women have more, women in their careers. You're making more money. You're homeowners. You're financial decision makers in the house now. And what are those experiences like? I would love to hear from you all. And I mean, we have a lot of people in the room and everyone's being shy today.
Oh, I see Wilhelmina.
My sis, hey, Mina, I'm asking her to join us. I want to hear what you have to say about this. And I know that, there's been times where sister, women have experienced being the high income earner and the breadwinner. And of course, for the traditional women, and I feel comfortable speaking for my sister because as my sister, she's been in a situation where she's been a high income earner, but she is definitely the traditional wife. My brother-in-law was treated like a king, and he always talks about that. He never had to worry about anything, which he was a gentleman as well, and a very romantic guy and did what he could, but she never ever mistreated him because she earned more, you know. And like you talked about earlier, hey, this man's going to eat first. His clothes always clean. He coming into a peaceful home. And I'll say this, ladies, and Tank, I'm sure you can co-sign this for me. We talk about this on various episodes. The physical appearance is cool, but a man is attracted to peace. A man is attracted to peace. Peace is the most attractive thing that a woman can offer a man. If a man can come around you and smile, laugh, and take a mental break from the world, that's the most attractive thing to a man. How do you feel about that, Tank?
100.
So,
Really.
so the physical stuff is cool. The hair, the makeup, and all that other stuff, that's cool, right? But at the end of the day, I'm in the words of Tavana. At the end of the day, we prefer peace over anything else. So we talk about the breadwinner, being the breadwinner, ladies. So, and also remember, there could be a woman out there who does not make a fraction of what you earn. She could be in the projects and not even have a car. But
I don't know. I got to disagree on that one now.
you got your own transportation.
Yeah. How many kids you got?
They might be grown. They out the house.
I think peace and safety. Like, I think those are everybody's
Desires, right?
desires. Yeah, men and women. I think it goes both ways. Everybody wants to have a sense of peace and safety with the person that they're with. And once that is jeopardized, it is very hard to get it back. You can stay with the person, but once you have done that, it's very, very hard to get that back.
I want to invite Wilhelmina, if you would like to speak for us, giving us your perspective. I think you're unmuted. Say hello. We can't hear.
And I think most men need to understand or know and be able to define what peace is to them,
Yes, yes, yes.
because it is not cookie cut, just
Correct.
like safety is not cookie cut. And so we can't just tell someone, oh, I need you to be my peace. Nah, you need to be able to articulate to her or him what that means to you, because what the last person might have thought or said, you know what I'm saying? And you never want to get into a relationship with someone where you are doing things for them that you want to do for them versus what they need and want for you to do for them.
So true.
Because I could think peace is coming home, make sure you cook dinner, whatever, and rub your feet or whatever. That me, I think that's being your peace. But
Mm-hmm.
it could be being, you might feel like being your peace is as soon as you come home, don't ask you no questions.
Let me unwind mentally. Right.
right? And so I could be doing all I could. As soon as you come home, well, what do you want? And the kids, but
Oh,
I done
Lord.
cooked, I done cleaned, and waiting. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking I'm being his peace, and something is still off because what I thought was peace is not what he needed. So unless you are able to articulate that to your partner, you may not be getting what you want.
So true. So true. And every episode, it ties back to communication. It comes back to
Absolutely.
communication. Mina, can you,
Can you hear me now?
oh, yes, we can hear you now loud and clear.
Okay. Oh, good, good, good. Yes, I agree with the young lady just now about especially having that peace for both. You know, you want your home to be that safe haven, I call it. Whereas when you come home after work or school or whatever you have going on outside of home, your place of residence should be a place where you come and feel safe and peaceful. And so that comes from husband and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever share that space together. I believe that making sure that environment is a peaceful environment for each of us, you know, understanding what the requirement is of your significant other,
Mm.
making sure that you pay close attention to those things and their needs. Koshan, you know from my previous marriage, and I
Mhm.
can say this is that whenever I came home, and I used to say this, I was like, felt like a queen at the house, is because that's how he made that environment for me, you know, going to work, making sure that everything was good there, you know. So that was very important. You know, there was some other toxic things going on, but because the home was so peaceful, I stayed in there.
Your
You
tolerance
know,
increased. Right.
right. Yes, yes. And so
And
I
for
totally
all of us,
agree.
and for all of us,
Yeah,
it did. And I can say that now. And for our listeners and hosts, this is my big sister. I love so much. My sister Mina. And And of course, I always say allegedly because we need the other person here to defend themselves. But
yeah,
we're talking about, in a marriage. We love my brother-in-law, Al, and there were other issues and shortcomings, but we were always on his side and rooting for him because how he made my sister feel.
yes,
And every time I came over, he is such a gentleman, such a romantic guy, and he had an ability not just with you, Mina, but with all of us. When you're in his
yes,
presence, he has an ability of making you feel like you're the most important person in the room,
right,
and
right,
and everyone loved being around him
yeah,
because of that. So I know the importance of peace, and in my opinion, that is priceless. So if I feel as though if someone can provide your version of peace, like Tavana said, and it has to be communicated. We can try to watch
absolutely.
and listen, but I think it's easier to just ask the person what makes this peaceful to you. And I commend you all. And we're talking about women being the breadwinners and high income earners in an era where women are now making six figures and still willing to play, assume that role. That says a lot. That speaks volumes because, you all really can do things by yourselves but still playing the role of the loving, supportive, and sometimes submissive wife or significant other. In my opinion, that's commendable. Liz, I see you've joined us. Tavana, go ahead. Your
Yeah,
mic is on.
I think when a person is receiving what they need,
Mm-hmm.
it makes it very easy for everything else. So if I'm getting what I need from you, it makes it very easy for me to give you what you need, right? Because it's just, I don't, because I think what happens is the reason that it goes wrong is when you start to not get what you need as a man or a woman, you go into self preservation mode. You start self preserving you start saying, I need this. So now what is supposed to be a we thing is not, or a us thing is not. It's no longer, because you are dependent upon your significant other to provide your needs. And when that's not happening and you have to start providing your need and expect them, but they're still expecting you to provide their needs, it's like, well, Darren, I got to do my stuff and do for them. Like, you see what I'm saying? And that's where it goes wrong for most people, because it you're gonna burn out that way, and that's where resentment comes in. That's where all of these things start to creep in, because it's like there's no balance there. But 9 times out of 10, if you're doing, I used to always say, it is not my significant other job to make me happy. That's on me.
Mm.
It's not their job to make me happy. That part is on me. But it is their job to provide the companionship piece that I need. And whatever that looks like for me. And that companionship, it could be talking, it could, like, my love languages. That's your job. It's your job in this relationship to speak my love language fluently, and it's my job to speak yours fluently.
Mm.
And if we're not doing that for each other, it's not gonna work.
Communication. I saw Liz microphone lit up. What do you have to say, Liz?
Good evening, everyone. I think I agree with Tavana. It's difficult to submit to a male if you're having to not only provide for the household, but you're doing other things that, let me start over. Excuse me. So say I make more money, right, than he does. And we have our gender roles. He does this, I do that. Something happens and he's no longer making his income. And on top of that, you're not doing the things that you were doing that we agreed were your responsibilities. And I think that's what happens often in relationships with women who make more money. You can't expect me to play my role and your role too. I know, let me give some examples. Let me just do that. So say she makes more money, he makes less money. We agree that, you cut the lawn, take out the trash, I watch the kids after, I pick up the kids every day after work. We both work though, but I'm picking up the kids, bathing them, making sure homework is done. Now you're not taking out the trash. You're not cutting the lawn. So as someone who's paying most of the bills, or at least 50-50, and you're now not living up to your end of the bargain, how do you expect me to come home and then make sure this is a place of peace and tranquility? And, we're not going to discuss this trash that you left, but men will look at that as nagging. They will look at that as, oh, she's not being supportive, or, she's acting this way because she makes more money. I've seen that happen with several of my girlfriends. So, that may not be the norm. That's the norm in, my little microcosm. So, I don't know. It's a complex issue, but I don't know. I guess I think most men are intimidated by women who make more money because they feel as though they can't be the provider that they want to be. And again, I'm not a man, so, this is just my opinion.
Well, I saw something that kind of speaks to what you were saying, Lizzie. I saw it on Facebook yesterday, and it was a lady. She was doing a reel, and she said, I don't have a problem going 50-50. But if you want to go 50-50, don't think you're going to get 100% woman.
Mm.
She said, and it was just like what you saying. If I got to do 50-50 with you, that means, so if I'm doing 50-50 with you, that means you ain't doing 100, right? You're not being 100% man, because I got to give you 50% of this providing and provision. But then you still want me to cook, clean, take care of the kids, and other the other stuff too. The other stuff you want? No, 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 no. You can't do 50-50 and then want me to be 100% woman. And I
Especially,
totally agreed with that because, and I think that's where it goes wrong. A lot of men sometimes think that, oh, sure, you should go to, if we both went to work for 12 hours today and you get to come home after your 12 hours and kick your feet up and wait for me to cook, clean, take care of the kids, and then bend over. What? No, come on. Like, what? Wait a minute. Do you see how this is now? This is off.
That,
Like, this is way more than 50-50.
how do you measure 50-50?
I think you measure 50-50 off of what it is. If we sit down and we say there's X, Y, let's just say there's 10 things that need to be done, 50-50 would be you do 5, I do 5. That's 50-50. If it's cook, clean, take care of the kids and do homework, bills, and intimacy, and
So it really
whatever.
ain't 50-50. It's just joint responsibilities.
But
well, yeah, I mean, not to interrupt, but I mean, to me, 50-50 is what you all decide is 50-50. You know, you all set the tone for how this household is going to be run. The both of you come up with that decision. And so again, if we agree that you're the one that's going to take out the trash and you cook on Mondays and Fridays, and I pay the mortgage, but you pay the water bill and the phone bill and the utility bill, that might be your 50-50.
Yeah, right.
But if you start slacking on your part, that's a no-go, right? Because now that means I have to pick up the slack. Because if the trash don't get taken out or there's no dinner on Monday, then what? Now you looking at me crazy like, oh, well, you could have did it. No, that wasn't my part to do.
But now you got to cook on Mondays too, because the kids still got to eat.
There you go. You see what I'm saying? So that's where it becomes unfair. That's where it becomes.
And the trash got to go out because the house stinking.
And you know what I used to say all of the time? I used to say that I took full responsibility for what happened in my household, in my relationship, because I think I just made it look way too easy. I don't think that there was ever the thought that she may be tired. She may be stressed. She may be, because it was just like, get it done, get it done. It's like, I'm just going, you know what I'm saying? On autopilot, get it done, get it done. Until it was burnout. And then when I'm upset and feeling some kind of way about being burnt out, it's like, I don't understand what's wrong with you. It seemed like you was fine. Really? And I had to actually ask that question. I said, do I make it look that easy? And the answer was, I guess you do. Because I never even thought that you could possibly be tired.
Now that can go both ways. So I'm not negating what you say. I agree 100% that is what happens. You all make it look so easy.
Right. We do.
Men, we overlook how hard
That's
it is.
right.
And I always say that.
Until you got to do it for a
Until you have to
weekend.
do it.
That's right.
That happened to me. My wife went into the hospital and I had the boys to myself for a weekend. And I think they were like maybe 7 and 9 or something. And when I had to see what all went into breakfast and taking this one to this school, this one to a different school, and getting the car line, and it's like as soon as you drop them off and come home and do some things, put some clothes in the wash machine, dryer, and before you could take a nap, it's time to get in the car line and pick them up, and after school stuff and homework and dinner and showers and all this stuff.
Because mom has made it a well-oiled machine.
Made it look easy. Now
it's a well-oiled machine. And once you got it off the track, now everything is like, what's going on? Even the kids probably like, hey man.
Oh, the kids now, my son came in and was like, Dad, Hayden was like, it's Eli's night first, but Dad, we got to get in the shower. I said, oh crap. All right, yeah, let's shower. And I think by the second night, one of her cousins came over, to check to make sure things were going okay. But now in the man's defense, I always remembered, I can joke about these things now. I remembered my dad went through a phase where he battled substance abuse, right? And it got really bad. And my mom would still drop me off. And I would ask her if Mom, can you go by the store first and, like drop some groceries off, whatever. And she would always say, your daddy will figure it out. She didn't care. Like he was like at his lowest point battling an addiction to the point we had nothing. And I always commend my sister on holidays. She would be the only person that would bring a meal to my dad on holidays. I mean, we had nothing, no food, no groceries, sometimes no electricity, but I still wanted to be with him and I had him. But my mom always said he would figure it out. But she was so spoiled by his drive financially before he, went through that phase because he had always done so many things. He was a school teacher. In the summers, he ran a juke joint. He had parties. He did taxes. He taught night school. He always made it happen. Always. And we joke, my sister and I talk about this all the
See your
time.
resume.
Right. But that's where I got it from. So I do multiple things. I still got my car dealer's license. I'm a trucking business. I'm an administrator, just multiple things. And I think that too I make it look easy. So not only in a relationship with a spouse, relationship with my friends as well, because my friends will call me, hey, Cole, I need to hold $5,000. I had somebody call me and ask for 38,000. Somebody asked for 40,000, 20,000. And I think that sometimes, like you said, we make it look easy and they feel like he never needs help. Rarely.
Yeah, it's like that. The strong friends. Like, and that's kind of the same thing. Like, you make it look so easy that nobody really realizes that you have your
Problem
own
too.
stuff too.
Right.
Correct.
Right. And I wanted to know from a woman's perspective, how are you all impacted by that? And, Devon and Nicole, you all opened my eyes, and for Wilhelmina and Liz, if you came in later, and I talked about, celebrating women and patting you all on the backs because of the things that you all are doing now. And, I've always been into sports, youth sports. I've refereed, I've coached. And for the most part, on a Saturday, I joke about it and I tell guys, if y'all ever want to meet women, go to a little league football game, go to a PB basketball game. And all of these single moms are there with their SUVs. Their boys got their $150 sneakers, $20 socks. You all are doing it. But Tavon and Nicole both opened my eyes when you all said that you are doing it because you have to, not because you want to. You don't want to be there. You'd rather be somewhere else on a Saturday getting your hair and nails done or something.
No, I want to. No, that ain't what I said. No, I ain't say that. But I'm
No,
saying
not
I
the
want to
last
be
part.
there.
Yeah.
I want to be there. I don't want to have to be fully responsible for it.
Right. Right.
So I want it to be practices is not solely on me. Getting into the games is solely not on me. Getting the uniforms is not solely on me. Going to
Right.
buy the snacks for the team is not solely on me. Taking the, you know what I'm saying? All checking the homework, responding to the teacher, taking them to the dentist, taking them to the doctor, cooking, cleaning, buying the clothes. Like a lot of men couldn't even tell you what size shoe they child wear.
Yeah, I think it's a double-edged sword. Like, you see Black women being, these strong, independent women who are raising families by themselves. And then on the other hand, Koshan, you mentioned how you think you got your drive and ambition and love for what you do as a career from your father. But here's the problem. There are a lot of fathers missing in these days. And I've as a high school track coach, I had my first track meet this weekend where I actually had to be around the kids. Like I rode the bus and stayed under the tent. And, I'm just seeing there's a lost generation. And things got so bad. I had to pull a young girl to the side and I said, do you talk to your mother this way? Like do you speak like this in front of your mother? And she looked at me like a deer in the headlights. She was like, well, I mean, if I stump my toe or something, I might cuss. I said, well, you must be stumping your toe all day because you've been doing nothing but cussing all day long.
Mm. Oh, yeah, they're different now.
Yeah. So, and it's because I feel you have a lot of households who don't have the men in them being the kind of father figure or male representative or whatever you want to call it, like they did, like we had. You know
Right.
what I mean? Savannah talked about her dad. You talked about your dad. I've mentioned my dad before. And I think that when men assume that women can just do it all, then she don't need me. She got it. You end up with a generation that's lost with no sense of like guidance or self-respect. But then I hear men on platforms talking about, a submissive woman, a submissive woman. Why would I encourage my daughter to submit to any man in this day and age when a lot of the men that she sees are, for example, again, this weekend, the bus showed up. The boys were the first to get on the bus, and there was like a ton of stuff that needed to be loaded on the bus. And they had to tell them to get off the bus and put the stuff on the bus.
For the little girl.
Yeah. So you want my daughter to submit to a man whose first inclination is to jump on the bus and leave me to put the stuff on the bus? Like, come on.
And, right, because there's a thing that's just those things are not being taught.
A model.
That's his mom and his daddy
And
fault.
model and the crazy part is like even like with my son, my middle son, his dad wasn't there like that, but then my ex-husband was since he was 9. So he got a little piece of, you know what I'm saying, to be able to see what it should look like. But even now, if I ride with my son, he already know, don't play with me. You better come open this door. And I'm not getting out until you come open the door. You know what I'm saying? Because he knows, and he does that with his little girlfriend and stuff like that, because he at least got to see it somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And even before I got married,
When I started doing it,
I was still teaching him that this is what you do. You know what I'm saying? Even though there wasn't a male figure, I still said, as a young man, this is what you do when you're out with your mom and your sister. You open the door for us. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. So he was still getting taught that. But these kids these days, you're right, Lizzie. Like there is nobody to model after because again, that family breakdown has gotten so far gone. You know what I'm saying? That these kids they have no clue. Like I just thought it is just the most amazing thing ever. I think there's somebody posted something. A little girl at the Broad River Bojangles was just cussing the lady out in the drive-through. I'm like, what? And then so the lady gets out and comes in the store to try to resolve her issue with her food because the food was indeed wrong. It's not like she was just being, you know what I'm saying? Right. But this little girl still going off. And guess what she said?
What?
Bitch, I'll call my mama on you. See, now that lets me know what type of mama you got. Because if I was cussing out an adult, trust me, I'm not about to tell you I'm about to call.
I'll call my mom. That's the last person, right? Mina, what? I saw your microphone. Come on, Mina. What do you want to say?
Well, I just wanted to go back to the things that I think it was Nikki and Tavana was talking about. I went through divorce, single, and now remarried. Okay. And so like those ladies said about we had to do those things, especially during the period of singleness, taking care of things, being there to school PTA and all this other stuff that goes along with being the single person. Now that I am remarried, and y'all, I'm really old school, okay? Koshan, oldest sister. When Koshan was born, I think I was in the 8th grade, okay?
Right.
So that kind of tells y'all I'm already past 60. But my husband and I now, and I hear a lot of the 50-50, and we talk about 100-100. Neither one of us give 50-50. And I heard what you all said about, shared responsibilities, and especially if you're still working, I understand that part. But even
my previous marriage, it was still 100 because we both knew how to pick up the slack for the other person. And especially in this marriage right now, I don't have to remind him or tell him that, I didn't get a chance to do the laundry, or he is that person that will, if I'm doing something, he will go ahead and start the laundry for me. Or the same thing with the dishes. He doesn't cook that much, but if he have to, he would. So I just wanted to encourage you ladies is to just hang in there, And I hear a lot of people, like I said, for y'all's generation, talk about the 50-50. But me being a Christian, a born again believer, I believe that we need to give our 100 on all parts. And you all have to figure out what that 100 looks like. And again, like I said, being old school, my days, the men always put the 100 when it comes to the finances.
Right.
And I do understand we were talking about females making the most money. Even when I was making the most money at that time, my ex-husband gave his entire paycheck
Right.
to put with whatever, so that everything could be done. There was no split this. I paid the light bill, you pay the mortgage. The mortgage was going to be paid by our paychecks. And I understand things are a little bit different, but like I said, from the generation that I came from, it was always that 100. And again, it also is who you're married to, and if you both have those same values and beliefs when it comes to becoming one.
Man, I'm so sorry. This 2 hours went by
Drop,
so fast, you all. We down to our
drop,
final 30
night.
seconds. What'd you say, Tank?
That was a good nightcap right there.
Yeah, that is. That was perfect. And thank you all. And I'm gonna take a stab at these new generation guys, meaning they don't want to give 100% on the bills because they gotta put $200 up for Jordans and 500 for a PlayStation. So
I
they don't
get it.
want to
Hey,
Yeah.
commit to the
Yeah.
household like they
Yeah.
should.
Right.
But thank everybody for joining us, and I will share the playback with you all when we're done with broadcasting it. See you all next